You know what?
Okay, do you think Bill Belichick would trust somebody?
I think he does it himself.
Or do you think those angles he cuts his sweatshirt isn't exact?
Okay, yes. An assistant would be paying much more attention to detail than what he comes up with.
Yes.
Cut the arms off this sweatshirt. Football. That's my Bill Belichick impression.
Welcome to another episode of the American Beer Review Podcast.
Good times with good friends requires good beer. Lucky for us, we know how to pick all three.
We're a group of friends who grew up in the Pacific Northwest, giving us a jump start on our craft beer journey.
Join us today while Brian,
Alec,
and Chad
review some beer, talk about beer topics, and whatever else comes up. We invite you to pour yourself a drink and hang out with us.
I think it's pretty good. Well, until you start talking about the history of football, and then he's a completely different person.
Talk for days about it. But we're not talking about football because we're in the off season.
Well, unless you like the XFL or the USFL.
XFL almost went to the game, have season tickets.
Man, they just got to clean it up over the last
0-2. I don't know how excited I am about
the end of the games. They can't quite close out.
Did you watch the game?
I watched the first part of the first half.
Because what is it? Jim Haslett is the coach.
Yeah.
When he fumbled, DiNucci fumbled. He goes, "Not again," because it was a fourth and short, and he fumbled it and lost it again.
It's almost like he's not quite at the quality of being high level football
NFL
player,
quarterback. Yeah. But AJ McCarron, 2 in a row.
And AJ McCarron. Speaking of well,
you have a
weird
vendetta against ASC or USC.
Yeah, but he's got I think it's AJ McCarron that's got all of a sudden people are like, he has an insane giant chest tattoo.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, that took us down a weird tangent.
Moving on to today's actual topic.
St. Patrick's Day.
Whoop,
so
whoop.
St. Patrick's Day is
my favorite of all the holidays.
I was about to say one of my favorite holidays, mainly because it reminds me that Brian's birthday is the day before.
Yes.
So I have never missed. I've missed Thor's birthday. I've missed family members' birthdays.
It does make it easy to remember.
Sure, but what are you doing? 17. Oh, shoot. 316.
Yep. Brian 316.
Brian 316. Well, that also makes it.
Oh yeah. Man.
You never picked up on that?
Probably when we were watching wrestling back in the day. But it's
So the first time that we ever all three went out drinking as 21-year-olds.
Oh yes, that
was the day after my birthday. We've talked about before.
Yeah.
We've talked about before that my first beer was in
Bellingham,
kitchen,
yeah,
drinking this is gonna taste like ass beer, and then we drove down to Seattle for St. Patrick's Day.
Because it was a Friday,
and met up with everybody, and that was the first. And it was, you guys were very kind to me because I think we barely had any beers because I just kept trying to find out what else there was to drink. Also, you guys didn't know what else there was to drink, so we kept having to find weird we drank something that was like a tornado or a kamikaze or something like that.
Kamikazes would have made sense, yeah.
Yeah, so something like that.
That was the in vogue cocktail of the that timeline.
Yeah, no, it's canceled now. You can't order one of those.
No, probably not.
Yeah. Thinking back on it, they weren't very good either. It was just, cocktails back then were just how can we fit as much booze in and make it taste
it was like a slightly boozy, fruity, but didn't look like a fruity.
Yeah.
Right,
drink.
You could get away with ordering it and still be like macho.
Yeah.
So today is our St. Patrick's Day episode. This will come out day before your birthday, 2 days before St. Patrick's Day, right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So we each have a traditional,
somewhat
traditional Irish beer for our starters. So Brian, what do you got? Let them know what you're drinking. Ooh, man.
Yeah, careful with that one. Well, you're opening up a
okay. So
the OG.
I'm going OG. So I got a Guinness.
Which we drinking it you're not even pouring it in a glass.
Oh, Okay,
That's
yeah,
how
fine,
you're supposed
fine,
to do it.
Fine.
So this is actually perfect because this leads me right into telling my stories about Guinness and drinking Guinness with you and why I used to hate Guinness and still don't drink it very much.
Okay.
Because we were on a trip like around my birthday, went to Portland, and so we ended up getting a 6-pack of Guinness because it was around St. Patrick's Day,
yeah.
and we're sitting in the hotel drinking, but we drank it out of the bottles. And I used to think that this was like the worst.
Was that was that Portland or was that? Yeah, you got to mute that. Was that
Portland?
It was Portland. I thought that was Seattle.
I think it was Portland. So
okay.
It was. But I was like, this. Yeah, you could be right. But it was not good. I'm like, this beer's not that good because you're just drinking it. When you drink it out of the bottle or out of the can, you don't get the creaminess.
No.
Of the Guinness, you don't get that foam head to it. That to me is the quintessential Guinness aspect.
And when we started drinking, and probably when we were first having these, I mean, you look at this beer and what it looks like and what it tastes like is dramatically different based on what we are expecting, right?
Yes.
It's a super dark beer.
Mm-hmm.
And have they been nitro from the beginning?
Yeah.
So they're the OG nitro beer by far, because when you go and you taste it, it's a creamy head. It's way smoother, bubblier than you would expect looking at this beer. And the head has grown since it's been sitting in my.
I used to talk a big game like I used to know what I was talking about and used to call it a meal in a can, but it's not.
No.
It is not anywhere near compared to the stouts that people are making today. Where
American stout, yeah.
Like that French toast one, I think Cam joked about it. Like that's a whole breakfast
you don't eat
and more in a can. And this is just not that. This is not it's not as filling. You can drink Guinness more consistently throughout a day. Like you could drink a few Guinnesses and you're going to be fine. I've heard a story recently of someone drinking 24 in a day. I wouldn't go that far. It's like what, 4 or 5%?
I'm looking at it right now.
It's not that much.
The Guinness I poured is even less because I have the Guinness NA offering, which looking at Alex pour and my pour, same fantastic looking head that stays strong as you drink it. And like you guys said, Guinness was the first time I encountered it was after I had been drinking beer and pouring the Guinness and you're like, oh my God, look at this big dark thing. What's it gonna taste like? But then you have it and it's like, oh, this is almost water. Like there is flavor there, but compared to
the texture is a lot lighter.
Yes.
So Brian just let me know
because of the nitro and everything.
There's not it's not as full a body as some of the American stouts.
Yeah, so Brian just let me know it's 4.2%.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. Like
125 in calories.
Yeah.
Is not that massive for a
15%. It's a 14.9 ounce can. Or that's why I think it made sounds. And that's why is these ones they're not filling all the way. It's in a pint-ish can, but it's not filled all the way.
Because you have the little ball in there.
You get the sweet nitro
to replicate
ball,
to replicate the pour.
Which is, and I think is why there also is this nostalgia or something for Guinness because how long did it take them to figure out the nitro widget? So I don't know how much they were bottling, canning, whether it was just
before that.
Yeah, on tap.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's been in the cans ever since we've been drinking.
Yeah, I haven't had Guinness in a long time. I was forced to retire from drinking Guinness. Because the only way that I used to drink it was...
Don't say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to say it. What are you drinking?
With alcohol dropped into it?
Yeah.
And so I think when I hit 30... It's 32. I think my wife was like
a Boilermaker with Guinness.
Yes. but I hit about 32, and
She's going. You're not doing this.
and I only ever did it like it was
On
like
St. Patrick's Day.
yes, like my birthday or St. Patrick's Day were the only times I ever did it. But yeah, it was
you're still dropping a shot glass and another glass, and everyone in the house is staring at you. What are you doing?
yeah.
It's St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I still get away with the Boilermaker every
Yeah,
once in a while,
yeah.
but
So I went with a different variation.
yeah. What do you got?
Yeah, so this is so I believe the proper pronunciation, but I'm not positive, is that you would call it a Smittix.
That's why I made you take this one because I didn't know how to say it.
Yeah, so
I'd
it's
have no shot.
it looks like Smithwick's and Sons red ale. So they're calling it Ruby Red Brew with a gentle hop bitterness and a sweet malt finish. This is one that is where we were at, like I think it's still around, but there was an Irish like themed bar in Bellingham called Ishka's.
Still there.
Yeah, and so we went there one time and we're basically looking for other things to try and branch out from kind of like St. Patrick's type stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that's when I was first introduced to Smittix in the proper pronunciation. So like non Guinness, I almost got it, the other one, but it was a little too standard. Is Harp is also like one of my
Mhm.
preferred. It's basically like the light beer from Guinness, but a Harp lager.
So when we were planning this episode, those were the other two, other than Guinness, that I was looking at.
Smittix and
Harp.
yeah, they're the only other ones I know of, really.
Correct. And both of them are owned by Guinness.
Mhm.
So Harp was...
Which are all owned by Diageo now.
Right. But Harp was a Guinness beer from the beginning, I believe.
I think so too.
And then whatever Smittix was actually independently founded, created, and then at one point went under, and Guinness bought them out and then moved the brewery
To
or the brewing
St. James Gate.
whatever. They brought it in house.
Yeah, that's where they
So
brew.
Smittix started independent
Mhm.
and is now a Elysian to Guinness's
Yeah.
Irish beer. Because I was, I don't want to do Guinness. We'll just do a Harp.
Yeah,
It's the
Same company.
It's all the same company.
Yeah.
So
I like Smittix. I think it's a good variation. 4.5%.
easy, drinkable.
Yeah,
crushable.
exactly. And that's the upside of it. But you're getting like honestly, I think between those three you have a really good kind of variation though.
Absolutely.
You got a stout, you've got a lager, and you've got a red ale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you have these different kind of like flavor profiles that kind of you could easily kind of cruise through those in a day, swapping them out for different things to
Well, and
different times.
you covered what you got, Thor?
Yeah, I've got the NA Guinness, and I was gonna say I was so glad they started making this because Guinness, its flavor profile is so in line with being NA because
Right.
there's not a whole.
You don't need a
You're-
hot of the
you're not-
hops.
I'm
There's
not-
not a lot of alcohol.
I'm not losing anything. It tastes like a Guinness.
Mm-hmm.
It is going down incredibly quick.
Oh yeah,
About 3/4 of the way through my pint. No, you are staying on your bed. Nope.
he's
nope.
talking to the dog, not to Alec.
Yes.
I might be staying on the bed.
No,
This
because it's
podcast.
only a 4.2%
Well,
beer.
and so that segues really well into a little bit of a topic. This is a shorter
Review pod.
before we get into the review. Is I think St. Patrick's Day is the quintessential beer holiday.
Yeah.
So having a crushable 4% beer, you can have them all day
Mhm.
as long as you're not because it's 4%. It's easy drinking, but it's not slammable. You're not shotgunning a Guinness.
No. Well,
Yeah.
unless you're making one of those drinks, but don't recommend it.
Right, but you're not shotgunning a pint of Guinness.
No.
But at 4%, you can be there all day at the bar, at the
Yeah.
pub, at the whatever festival. But
It's like one of the OG table beers.
kind of, yeah.
I mean, table beers have been around for a long time, but it's that same style of like, it's the concepts that like us as Americans, people don't understand that like in German beer halls, the beers are like 3.8%, 4%.
Right.
So you see these big liter steins of stuff and people drinking all day. And then us Americans have our own Oktoberfest in the States, and we do that, but we're drinking
IPAs.
7.5% IPAs
Yeah,
and
give-
wondering
give-
why we're like wrecked by midday.
Give me a
Yeah, you have
double
2 beers
IPA,
and your day's done.
Imperial
Yeah.
Stout. So that's what I was thinking. Is it? I claim it as the quintessential beer holiday. And
Yeah.
what makes the difference? So I don't think anybody's going to argue with you when you say St. Patrick, because it's an American holiday.
Americanized. There is some,
They do some
Yes.
it's obviously Irish in origin, but
and they celebrate it there.
yes, but we have turned it into a beer holiday.
Yeah, it's not Cinco de Mayo, where in
Nope.
America we think it's this amazing thing, and in Mexico they're like, bro, it's just a Thursday.
So that was the second one that I had.
Yeah.
Is Cinco de Mayo was another one where it's a holiday in another
Yes.
country. In America, it's a reason to drink beer and get drunk.
Yeah,
And so-
margaritas would be, but see, this is
I
why
think-
St. Patrick's Day is more the beer day.
And I think Cinco de Mayo is on a lower tier than St. Patrick's Day as a beer holiday, just because it feels like Cinco de Mayo was almost made in a lab by Corona to sell Corona.
Oh,
Sometimes-
right. Not the virus, but the beer. Yes.
Yes.
Corona beer, with a lime or whatever.
Yeah,
But yes, but St. Patrick's Day always felt like a beer holiday without any outside advertising.
mm-hmm.
It was one of those things. The person who was buying the beer in college, or you saw it, everybody going on a beer run, beer 5K on St. Patrick's Day, drinking green beers. I mean, green beer was
Yeah.
that was the thing, because I can't even remember seeing it on TV, but I just knew you saw people putting green food coloring in beer
Oh,
and go,
God.
oh, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
Right.
Or I made one of my first homebrew Pilsner.
mm-hmm.
It was made for St. Patrick's Day, and I turned a gallon of this homebrew beer green.
Just for the
Just for St. Patrick's Day. No other holiday, no other time. Like I'd brew some for Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But
you're not making it red or
Yeah,
whatever.
you're just making,
Orange.
I'm just gonna make, I'll make a tasty beer. I'm not going out to make a beer specifically for St. Patrick's Day, which
You
I
ended up
did.
doing,
But
yeah.
so two things for that. Number one, shout out to Iron Horse, who's bringing back their 0.5K on St. Patrick's Day,
There you go.
which is basically like a run around the block.
Nice.
But also, as much as we talk about St. Patrick's Day being the beer holiday, there aren't a lot of Irish beers being made in craft.
No,
The
'cause we had to
only-
dig.
Yeah, so I debated going and finding one. The only one that I found is like there's like your Irish dry stout, which is kind of a, if it's not on nitro, is like a non-nitro version of like a Guinness. There's a little bit more body to them, but it's like that variation. That's to me really the only Irish style beer that stands out. I probably should have done more research before making that statement, but
But I mean, I couldn't find anything either. Like all the online shops I use, I thought, oh hey, we're you're 2-3 weeks out from St. Patrick's Day. You'd think they'd start having it on the shelves. They're bringing it in. Like my grocery store finally added like a third case of Guinness
right.
to their section. I was like, well, I guess this is it. So it felt like your guys' difficulty finding a craft Irish style beer. It just felt like maybe it's just not something in the craft brewer's mind to make something around this holiday yet,
Mhm.
or because the association with Guinness,
The
or
standard
Harps
ones,
is
yeah.
so strong.
Right.
People are going out to a bar to have a pint of Guinness. They aren't going to go.
Well, and are you going to put in
Over-
all that work
yeah.
over the course of the weeks, months, a year to develop a beer for one day that it's going to
Yeah.
sell when you know that 90% of the people going into the bar are just going to order a Guinness
Or a green beer,
or a
or,
green
or
beer?
give me a
Yeah.
green beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fact checked myself.
Uh-oh.
There are 3 beers in the Irish beer category
Okay.
under the BJCP, which is like a beer classifications. You have Irish Red Ale, which Smittix
Okay.
is a perfect example of that. You have the Irish Stout, which Guinness, standard Guinness, is that. And then you have the Irish Extra Stout is the other one. And as you just heard there, Alec is opening what beer we're actually going to review. I got to clear my glass here real quick. Yes, see, I knew this would be something interesting. So I found what they called an Irish cream style. This is Wexford.
Ooh.
So it's made in England, but they're calling it an Irish style cream ale. So it is a nitro draft beer, 5%. They do have they talk about the draft flow in it, that it's got the widget thing too, some instructions on the back for how you should properly pour it and do it. You didn't.
I did not read those.
No, I think I tried to read them to you earlier and you told me to stop. So
you might have read them, but I was paying attention to something else. We did chill it for at least 2 to 3 hours, but do not freeze. What beer is allowed to be frozen?
I found out last week that an NA beer.
Okay, you can freeze out, some of it. Contains a pressurized widget. Do not tamper, even when empty. So we got an explosive device in here. Dates back to 1810.
Yeah, so kind of interesting. I've found this at your standard big box store. Just when looking for different things, because I thought too, as we approached, St. Patrick's Day, I'd be able to find some, and maybe, like we said, there's just not that much coming out at that point. Right. So this, I forgot, I poured it wrong.
You didn't even listen to your own advice. No.
So the first pour was probably the best, which I think went to Chad.
No. I think I got a pretty
Did you
good
get
one
it?
Here.
Where it actually kind of made the creamy.
Yeah. No, I got a nice head on this one.
And and I don't know what you were expecting, Chad, but you seemed kind of shocked by either the creaminess or the color.
So when he poured it, when it poured,
nice.
It poured like a kind of a tan. It looked like it was a haze. It looked like a hazy or a juicy IPA being poured,
Okay,
and then, but then it just it cleared right up, and you just saw this kind of reddish brown, an amber ale looking kind of hue.
Well, so there's nitro bubbles on the glass. If you move it around
really quick, you kind of see them hang on the glass there. The cream ale is kind of what the smell I'm getting. So something that's kind of the closest to this that I could say is Pelican Brewing has the Kawanda cream ale.
Where I was going to go is the Pelican's cream ale.
And a lot of people think cream ale and they think they're going to get like a blonde or even
Well, it's not like a lactose like you would get in a smoothie.
Yeah.
IPA or whatever. That's
a cream ale is a pretty if you look at homebrew 101 kits,
it's pretty
there's
common.
always a cream ale in there, so it's not you're not getting weird adjuncts in there. It's mainly just all grain.
Yeah, and this one just seems to be based on an Irish recipe. So that's where they're kind of pulling that connection for it.
Well, and so this is our St. Patrick's Day, an Irish holiday, Americanized Irish holiday.
Yes, so we brought in a...
Wexford is from...
Well, the County Wexford is where its recipe is from, is in Ireland, but the brewery here is from Suffolk, England.
Okay, so we have an Irish beer to review for.
Yeah, it's just colonialism.
Or an English beer to review for.
Well, and again, though, this is what I talked about, trying to look through and find this, for the non-standard versions.
Right.
This is kind of what there was.
Right.
I tried to just kind of peek through everything in the craft beer aisle of looking for in the stout section. That's what I anticipated. My guess was I was going to find an Irish stout.
Right, something weird, yeah.
Yeah, and if they were in there, they weren't categorized as that. And I did talk about, I had already purchased these from the big box store just as options.
Right.
And then I was searching some of the local, bottle shops, tap rooms, And I did find one that had a Irish dry stout on tap, and so I thought about going and getting a crowler of it
Right.
and doing that instead. That brewery does it more often, and actually those are probably more likely. So maybe next year, if we're
Right,
still doing
right.
this, we'll
Yeah.
try something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a different. Either way, we were going to have a different country doing an Irish beer, right? Because we'd have done an American
Right.
Irish
True,
beer
true.
instead. We just did an English Irish beer.
Well, we didn't
but-
take the easy way out and just do Coulter's Irish Death, which we've all had a
Which-
whole bunch of.
yes,
we've
and I
reviewed
was-
multiple flavors of
That would have been the last resort if we couldn't have find anything. Period.
Yeah,
we reviewed it on here already, right? Or it was just a starter
not,
beer.
not the OG. We did the
apple pie version.
Are you sure?
Yeah. We might have started.
I think we
might
did
have
a
had
starter one time of it.
Well,
But anyways, I was just listening to a podcast with
Yep.
someone who used to work at Iron Horse for a long time,
Yeah.
and basically they even commented on as they are getting close to St. Patrick's Day that
they just got to ramp up.
yeah, I mean it still is their number one
Oh, absolutely.
selling beer, but it definitely kind of ramps up
yeah.
around this time.
That would be hard to turn, but if you could do a green Irish Death, I'm pretty sure that would just slay.
That would be
yeah.
amazing.
St. Patrick's Day.
That would be amazing.
I went to a
But you don't tell anybody. It's just all of a sudden somebody pours one out. Why is my Irish
Well,
Death green?
and because like I've talked about this beer that my brother-in-law had that was blue. I mean, there are people who make these weird types. Like, why not try something like that?
But on a beer that's that dark.
Yeah.
Right.
Also,
that would be hard to. Yeah.
I feel like Iron Horse would like. I feel like they used to say they were never going to make a hazy either, but
I'm sure they do.
they're ones that like fight flowing into those types of things and try and do the counter to it. But
At a certain point, the market and the consumer will tell you if you
Yeah.
have to make a hazy.
so, what do you think about the cream ale?
I
enjoy. Go
sorry.
ahead, Thor.
I was almost so I brought it up.
You've crushed the.
I know
your
I crushed
glass,
it.
So
Because I had the NA Guinness.
He needed some alcohol.
Yeah. I almost thought it was cidery coming up,
Mm.
and then you drink it and you get that all the ale, cream ale. But I almost got kind of an appley beginning on it. But overall, I love it.
where do you put it in your fridge?
I would fridge this on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of where I
This
was thinking too.
Hyper seasonal.
Yeah, uber seasonal for me too. It'd kind of be a niche thing, like out on St. Patrick's Day, going, oh yeah, I'll take the Wexford. Just to throw a little curveball, I would do this over a Guinness or a Harp.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, I would do this over a Guinness or a Harp. It's staying in that kind of low ABV thing, so you can kind of session it all day. It's got a little bit more The reason is because it's got a little bit more body, not a little bit, a lot more body than a Guinness.
Mm.
So you can, I don't want to say nurse it, but you're not going to slam this and staying out all day on a St. Patrick's Day or whatever. In my fridges, though, no, it's uber seasonal. I'm going to get this for St. Patrick's Day, and then
This isn't going anywhere near my fridge.
Yeah.
Any of them. I would be talked into buying it while I'm out on
Right,
St.
yes,
Patrick's Day.
that's kind of
That's
where we
about
were
it.
going.
But it just, and that's even the problem. Kawanda cream ale from Pelican is like one of their top sellers. It's just not a flavor that I prefer, or a style, I guess I should say I prefer. So it's not going to be there for me. It's definitely like, it's a fun beer. Like,
Yeah.
like you see the reaction of cracking the can and doing that. There's some enjoyment in that. But like we grabbed a couple of them, or I grabbed a couple of them. We didn't get to all of them today because that's how we do on the pod. I'll probably like
Sit
drink it on
it
St.
for a
Patty's
while,
Day.
Yeah.
I'll drink it on St. Patty's Day. So
All right.
I was just gonna say, this would, if for some reason I was on a proper St. Patrick's Day pub crawl, I would be drinking Harp and Guinness as the main one.
Mhm.
But this is the one I need like a noon break. sit down, have a pint of this, and work on it for an hour with lunch.
Sit with the Smittix, man.
Yeah.
Which I should probably pass you over because I got a little left in here if you haven't had one.
Yeah, I better try a little bit of that.
All right, we'll pass it around. All right, well, our glasses are empty. Hopefully yours are too. And we'll see you next time. Well, you took your shirt off.
Because I thought I was warm.
Oh, you didn't take your shirt off. You took your jacket off. If you take your shirt off, I'm
Then we're
kind of gonna go home
Yeah,
at
that's
this point.
I
mean, it's better than.
Hey, okay. Well, speaking of shirt off, so I'll be at spring training in 3 weeks, and it's only 75 degrees in Arizona.
I have so
right now.
many questions.
Oh, are you
for
going your muscle shirt summer?
Man, I've spent the last 3 weeks online. Nobody sells the midriff cutoff sweatshirt,
Bro.
so you have to make your own.
I know because it was gonna be.
If you enjoyed what you just heard, make sure you're subscribed to get new episodes when they drop, and don't forget to leave us a review. You can follow us on social medias at ABR Review. We'd love to hear from you with any beer suggestions for us to review in a future episode.